Hi everyone. Today I'll be talking about 5 times you should consider putting money into your superannuation account. So we've recently written a blog post and this is on our website. So cfvservices.com.au. Feel free to read that, but I'll explain that in this video as well. Basically, this time's when you should actually consider putting money because you would have an increase in cash flow or you would have an increase in net assets at that point in time. So definitely advice would get tailored advice because it's very individual. But those 5 times come down to when you're on parental leave, maybe you've just had a redundancy and your kids are finishing private school, you're going through or have gone through a divorce or you've inherited some money. Those are the crucial times you can actually consider putting money into super. Talking about parental leave. So parental leave is a good time where, you can actually make spousal contributions, or if you have spare cash flow, put money into super because this is a time where one partner is not working. So it's crucial to look at ways you can actually still increase that person's superannuation account balance. I think there's a huge emotional aspect in that regard as well, where they feel comfortable and they feel they're still getting something into your superannuation account. New legislation came out in the budget as to the government actually putting money into super for people on parental leave, which is amazing. I think that's a huge benefit. You can still definitely look at ways to put money. We help clients with this in terms of spousal contributions or ensuring that, the spouse who has to stay at home still gets to build to your superannuation account. So long-term benefits for this down the track. So, when you look at the transfer balance cap and how much each person can have in super before they actually start getting taxed on a higher bracket, that's important because if both superannuation accounts are slightly equalized, you are then in a situation where both of you can actually get to that cap. So not having one person in that cap and the other. So it's almost like a superannuation account equalization strategy as well. But this is done really early on before you actually get to that point where you have to manually take out money from one fund and put it in. So parental relief, that's a good time. Another good time is redundancy. I think, with redundancies, generally you have a lump sum amount that you actually get. And with that lump sum amount is then deciding what to do with the funds. Because with that, you can put in super and get some deductions in that regard. But it really comes down to what stage in life you are at. For my younger clients, we generally wouldn't put money into super because there's still a lot of life stage events that will still come up. So this is really suited for, people that are close to retirement and they really want to boost to super. But redundancy is a great time to consider your options as to putting money into super. Obviously, there are setting caps within redundancies that, help you reduce the taxes you pay. So it really comes down to your individual situation. But that's a good time to consider putting money into super. And you can organize that with your employer. You can do that yourself for people earning a slightly lower amount. And look, this can happen if one spouse earns more money than the other. And then for the next financial year, you might then be within a certain cap. There's the eligible co-contribution as well, which would help you get an extra $500 from the government, depending on how much you're earning. But yeah, redundancy is a great time as well to put some money into super. My kids finishing private school. So look, I really love this one because lots of my clients have the kids going through private school and that's a huge amount that they are paying, So when your kid has finished private school, it's a very joyful time because now you can spend a little bit more money on yourself. And then it's a good time. Usually this will be people, in their early 50s, late 40s, depending on how early you have kids, or even late 50s. And that's a perfect time to put as much as you can because with superannuation account is very tax effective when you retire. Okay. And you really want to build that. So kids finishing school, you're not paying top dollar for education again. You can definitely put some money into super. Or, if your mortgage hasn't been paid off, you can also then put most of the funds towards the mortgage. As I said, it really comes down to the personal situation. But kids finishing private school, perfect time to top up that nest egg. Divorce, so 50% of couples go through, divorce, which is a very huge stat, but and it's one of the biggest stressors in life at that point in time when you're going through a divorce. So it can be a very tough time to make decisions. And while it's a tough time, it's still very advisable to look at what is best for you. Generally, when a divorce settlement has gone through, you will get some funds. Even getting advice as to how you get the fund, I think that's important as well. Should you take cash? Should you take something else if there's room for that? I know in most cases there isn't room as to what you can actually choose, but if you do have room, you can definitely get advice as to what you should be taking. And then after settlement as well, when you're left with assets, you can then get advice as to, okay, should you be putting more money into super? Should you not? This really comes down to your tax, to your marginal tax rate at that point in time. And it also comes down to, okay, would you have a huge mortgage? Would you not have a huge mortgage? And what do you want to do? Okay. So divorce is actually a perfect time to get advice because usually one of the members of the couple or one of the spouses would generally take care of the finances. And look, I call that comparative advantage. You always want to give it to the person that understands it the most. Obviously, still know a little bit as to what's going on. But if you're not the person that has been always taking care of the finances, it's good to get advice so we can guide you and direct you as to what you should be putting your money in and how to manage that. But generally, divorce is a great time to consider putting money into superannuation account if you have a good settlement. I think one of the last ones is inheritance. So when you look at people that have a windfall in terms of getting some inheritance, it might be from someone who you cared about, or just a distant relative that has been took a liking to you and put you on the wheel. That is amazing because you then have some money you can play with. And I guess at that point in time, it comes down to what are your goals? What's the level of debt? How old are you? Should you then be putting some of those funds into super? I always tell people putting money in super to get tax benefits is just part of the goal. The topmost goal is what you want to achieve. What can you do, or rather, what do you want to do to give you that rewarding and fulfilling life? Okay, so some people want to travel, some people want to enjoy, and if you're in your 30s and then you're putting money into super, at that point in time, you will not get the benefit, or you will not hit that goal of enjoying your travels and not worrying about money. Because once you put money in super, it's gone. When I say it's gone, it's locked up until you meet a condition of release. So generally very crucial to really understand, yes, tax deductions are great. The more taxes you can save, the better, but you're going to not have access to that money, which plays a crucial role. So those are the few times you can really consider putting money into super. I'm founder and financial planner at CFV Services. We help clients with financial advice. Look, our perfect clients are people that don't have the knowledge and don't have the time to actually put things in place. So follow for more educational content. Thanks.